Donald Trump's team is already getting ready for his first days in office. Find out what is on the agenda.
And recreational marijuana is now legal in the state of California. We have reactions from across the city.
People are taking to the streets across the U.S. to show their dissatisfaction of what happened in last night's election. I'm here in downtown Los Angeles live at Pershing Square. And as you can see behind me, this group is getting rowdier and rowdier. Let's take a look at some footage from just about an hour ago.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
Protesters are gathering right now in downtown Los Angeles, unhappy with the country's decision to elect Donald Trump. And Donald Trump's team has hit the ground running, releasing a plan for his first 100 days in office. Good evening, I'm Sonica Bargo.
And I'm Ryan Thompson. President Barack Obama has invited Mr. Trump to the White House tomorrow to begin a smooth transition. Across the country, votes are still being tallied and finalized, but at this hour, the Associated Press reports that Trump has won at least 27 states, earning him 279 electoral votes. The first hint that the results would defy predictions came early in the night as President-elect Trump won major toss-up states Florida and Ohio. In the Midwest, he took Wisconsin and Iowa, and on the East Coast, he won Pennsylvania, a state that has not gone red since 1988. Michigan, with 16 electoral votes, and New Hampshire, with 4, are still too close to call.
The country is clearly divided, and protesters have hit the streets in many cities across the country. We go live now to Annenberg Media's Kaylee Heck in downtown Los Angeles, where a protest is already underway. Kaylee?
Thanks, guys. I'm live here in Pershing Square in downtown Los Angeles, where a group of people is gathering to protest Donald Trump and his election last night. Right now, they're shouting, "Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go." Let's take a look at some of these signs back here. Some of them say, we are legal, nasty, and proud. And a lot of these people here are Hillary Clinton supporters. California.
Not our president! Not our president! Not our president!
Where they will meet a larger group of protesters to continue to share their voices of how they feel about what happened in this election. Now, I spoke with two 17-year-olds earlier that are here protesting, and while they didn't even vote yesterday, they say that they are afraid to have Donald Trump as their president. Now, let me just step out of the shot for a second. Take a look at this group back here. They are growing really by the minute. More people are showing up, and every time a car goes by honking, it just feeds their energy. We'll keep you updated with more of what happens at City Hall and as this protest continues. But for now, I'm live in Pershing Square. Kaylee Heck, USC Annenberg Media.
Well, as you can see, college students across the country are protesting the election of Donald Trump. Annenberg Media's Betsy Carter talked with students about what they're trying to accomplish.
Protests erupted on college campuses early Wednesday morning as students from UC Davis, Oregon, Texas, and others marched in opposition to the historic election results. One UCLA student lit a flare protesting the outcome. UC Berkeley students came face to face with police in Oakland. At the University of Pittsburgh, student protests began shortly after Donald Trump won Pennsylvania.
The marchers were peaceful, but there were some of them like knocking down trash cans, knocking down signs on the street. They went through some police barricades. They actually put up their own barricades at one point to keep police away from them.
Around 100 USC students held a much different rally last night in front of Tommy Trojan for about 3 hours. Two of the rally speakers told me that when it comes to protests surrounding the election results, they believe that anger is not the answer.
We're here for our healing. We're here to express what we feel, and that once that became the main focus, it was a very peaceful night, and that we were all just felt like extremely welcome in the environment we were in, and that everyone got to say what they needed to say.
Yesterday was a big failure on our part, and that was caused by a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, we can't keep looking back at what we did wrong, and we need to look forward at what we can do right. And at the end of the rally, that's really what we came to terms with.
More protests are scheduled for tonight across the country. For Annenberg Media, I'm Betsy Carter.
Donald Trump also has many supporters who are enjoying this historic day.
There's been a lot of sadness in my classes. I've felt pretty uncomfortable considering how they've talked about, all people have talked about their emotions and stuff and how sad they are, and I'm kind of sitting there like, I'm pretty happy. I hear them talking about how he's a racist and the people who vote for him are racist, and I'm sitting here like, I'm not a racist. It's just not true.
Whether you agree with him or not, whether you find his language hurtful, he is your president.
Trump is due to visit the White House tomorrow. His supporters have just a few short months until they officially see their candidate in the White House.
Donald Trump addressed the nation for the first time last night as president-elect of the United States. He asked for help from the American people to unify the country.
Now it's time for America to bind the wounds of division. Have to get together. To all Republicans and Democrats and independents across this nation, I say it is time for us to come together as one united people.
Trump has released a plan for his first 100 days in office, which includes repealing Obamacare, imposing term limits on Congress, and funding a wall along the southern border. Hillary Clinton conceded this morning in an emotional speech to her New York supporters. She admitted that she was disappointed, but she also delivered an optimistic message to the rest of the country.
Let us not grow weary, let us not lose heart, for there are more seasons to come, and there is more work to do. I still believe, as deeply as I ever have, that if we stand together and work together with respect for our differences, strength in our convictions, and love for this nation, our best days are still ahead of us.
Clinton told young people and women in particular to keep fighting for what they believe in and not to be discouraged by setbacks.
President Obama also addressed the nation today. He called on Americans to move forward and keep their faith, urging them to unite and stand behind the new leadership.
We are now all rooting for his success in uniting and leading the country. The peaceful transition of power is one of the hallmarks of our democracy. And over the next few months, we are going to show that to the world. I hope that he maintains that spirit throughout this transition, and I certainly hope that's how his presidency has a chance to begin.
Obama said he congratulated Mr. Trump after his win and invited him to the White House tomorrow to discuss a smooth transition. As the world reacts to the election results, political leaders have offered both congratulations and warnings for the new president-elect.
Our political anchor, Raza Niklawi, has more.
Thanks, guys. It could be the start of a new diplomatic era with Russia as Vladimir Putin congratulated Trump in the early hours of the morning. Putin says he hopes to, quote, work together with the U.S. moving forward. But Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel offered the president-elect a set of conditions in exchange for her cooperation. She's demanding Trump respects, quote, the dignity of human beings. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu received a phone call today from Trump asking him to meet, quote, at the first opportunity. We also spoke to a USC student and alum across the globe for their take.
The fact that people in the UK were staying up all night to watch an election that wasn't even theirs says a lot of the presence of the US here. The UK was not going to be made fun of. Now the ridiculous country was the US.
Kenya is the home of President Barack Obama. So I think starting in 2008, there was a huge a spike in interest in our U.S. elections. Donald Trump's rhetoric throughout the campaign, the anti-immigrant rhetoric, is something of concern to people here.
Russian exchange student at USC who says some Russians are celebrating Trump's win back home.
Russia is generally very happy with Trump's win, both the Russian citizens and the Russian government, for two different reasons. The Russian government is very happy because they think that they can strike deals with Trump. They think that they can manipulate Trump a lot easier. The Russian people are a lot happier because they do not trust Clinton. They believe that America is run by the political elite.
While many world leaders made statements on the surprise result, there were notable exceptions, such as the silent Communist Party in China. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Roz. Well, Election Day was followed by a turbulent night for the financial markets. The Mexican peso fell to its weakest value ever against the U.S. dollar, and markets across Asia also lost value. Here in the United States, stock market futures for the Dow plunged 800 points over the course of the whole evening. But the Dow Jones surged 256 points this afternoon, closing in at 18,589. The Nasdaq rose about 58 points, closing at 5,251.
Well, about 800 middle schoolers at Woodland Hills Academy took part in a mock election on Monday. Nearly 90% of the students voted for Hillary Clinton. Her loss means something more for some of those young girls.
Part of me that did want her to win as our first female president, because when I was little, I wanted to be the first Hispanic female president.
Seeing her run gave me like an idea, like, oh, women can do it too, and we have that opportunity, and we were able to do everything just as like men would be able to do it.
These girls are surprised that many women actually voted for Donald Trump. They wish they were able to participate in this election.
My own students, they tend to have more of a more progressive or liberal bent, so a lot of them were very excited about the idea of Hillary Clinton being the first female president.
I think America is ready for a woman president, but a lot of people just didn't like her, they didn't trust her, and so she, for them, was not the right first woman.
In her concession speech, Hillary Clinton directly addressed girls, telling them that they should never doubt that they are valuable and powerful. And Californians decided on 17 different propositions last night. We have you covered on whether the most important ones passed or failed.
And Kamala Harris is making history as California's newest senator. Stay tuned to learn how.
And we'll also find out why many immigrants are worried about their future with Donald Trump in the White House.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
So they say it's a man's world? I don't see anybody's name on it.
While they were doing their thing, we slowly changed our world.
Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
Donald Trump's election is raising questions tonight about the future of immigration policy in the United States. Annenberg Media's Tommy Brooksbank spoke with some immigrants in Los Angeles who are worried about their future.
We have to keep fighting. We have to find a way to reach other states.
Mario Perez immigrated to the United States illegally with his parents when he was just 12 months old. He's not an American citizen, but is allowed to stay and work in the United States thanks to a 2012 initiative by the Obama administration. That privilege could change under President Trump.
DACA provides temporary protection, but it's an executive order that's like at the mercy of the president. If he decides to end that executive action, it's over.
Here on Alameda Street, there's a sense of tension in the air. Many people in this historically Hispanic neighborhood are voicing their concerns about the future after yesterday's election.
I do think that it says a lot about systemic racism and fear in this country. We're seeing it not just in this country, but we're seeing it in France, we're seeing it in Paris, we're seeing it all over the world. We're here to say, look, now that we have learned what the results of the election are, we need to send a strong message to Trump and to the whole country that we must come together.
Los Angeles Muslim advocate groups also shared their disappointment in the election results. One Muslim community leader says Trump's promise to ban all Muslim immigration is a significant setback for the nation.
If the United States is not going to accept its share of refugees as the rest of the world is, then we're only going to isolate ourselves further from the rest of the country, which does not bode well for our economy, does not bode well for our prosperity at all.
Trump's first weeks in office should provide a good indication of what immigrants will face in the next 4 years. For Annenberg Media, I'm Tommy Brooksbank.
California Attorney General Kamala Harris has made history by being the second black woman and first Indian American woman elected to the U.S. Senate, defeating opponent and fellow Democrat Loretta Sanchez.
We know that we are making a commitment tonight with this celebration of this Senate race to do everything that we know needs to happen in our country to heal. Do we retreat or do we fight? I say we fight.
Sanchez had the support of more than 24 colleagues in the state legislature, but her opponent outspent her by $9 million and received key endorsements from the president, the governor, and both U.S. senators from California. Sanchez conceded the race today in a written statement, saying, quote, "I called Ms. Kamala Harris to congratulate her on her win to the U.S. Senate. The campaign was hard fought, and now we come together as Californians. I thank all of my supporters for standing with me." End quote.
20 years after legalizing medical marijuana, California voted to allow recreational use of the same drug. Heather Kemp visited a dispensary to find out more.
Recreational marijuana is now legal to use in the Golden State for anyone over the age of 21. Longtime members of the weed business are happy with the passage of Prop 64.
On my business, it'll have a great effect, realistically, but I'm really more excited for the political effect that it's going to have, because the reality is the world just changed yesterday.
Californians can now have up to an ounce of marijuana in as many as 6 plants. Supporters of the law have vastly different reasons for backing it.
It's great. I think it can raise a lot of revenue for the state, so they can fix the potholes. They could fix the potholes with the money from the pot.
My whole mindset was, if cigarettes are legal, weed should be legal, because cigarettes are way worse for you and also useless. At least weed gets you high. I don't know.
Over 55% of Californians decided to legalize recreational use of marijuana in the state. However, there's still some opposition to the new law.
They do not have to legalize this on a local level. We're going to launch a local campaign called Are We Sure? And that's arewesure.net to allow people to really have a discussion. Are they really sure they want a pot shop next to their kid's school?
Pot smokers won't be able to get recreational marijuana until January 2018. For Annenberg Media, I'm Heather Kemp.
Well, it was a hot election day, and today was even hotter, Sonica.
Yeah, it's been pretty sunny outside, but let's toss to our weather anchor, James McDaniels, to see what the forecast looks like.
Yeah, and if you guys are going to be going to the beach, we are going to be under a high surf advisory until 9 o'clock tomorrow night, so be careful if you're going to be going surfing out there. Now, as we head over to our current conditions, we've got a beautiful day today. Sunny skies, 80 degrees, and very low humidity at only 25%. Now, as we head over to our big map, San Bernardino is going to be 88 degrees tomorrow, Riverside will be 89, and Palm Springs will be quite beautiful at 84 degrees. Now towards the coast, we have Malibu is going to be 80 degrees, and Thousand Oaks and Northridge will both be 89 degrees. Now as we head towards downtown, we've got a mix of the upper 80s to maybe even the lower 90s. In some spots, we're going to be 90 degrees exactly at USC, and we're going to be 89 in both Glendale and Pasadena. Now as we head towards our 5-day forecast, we're going to be seeing temperatures in the 90s tomorrow, and then after that, we're going to have a small cool down, you could say, but a beautiful cool down nonetheless. Mid-80s for the next couple of days and into next week, where we might even hit the lower 80s.
So it's never going to cool down, is it?
It's going to cool down enough for LA people, I think.
Only in Southern California would you have 80s in November. Thanks, James. California voters decided last night on many key issues yesterday that will affect most citizens. The voters decided to pass Proposition 64, which legalizes recreational marijuana, and Prop 63, which will increase background checks and tighten gun control. Prop 56 passed, which will increase the cigarette tax by $2, and Prop 59 also passed, which will create campaign finance reform. Propositions that failed to pass include Prop 61, which would have regulated prescription drug prices, and Prop 62, which would have abolished the death penalty. Other failed propositions include Prop 65, which would have given money from grocery bag sales to environmental funds. Prop 60 also failed, which would have required adult film actors to wear condoms. And it is college game day again this week.
And the Trojans headed to Seattle in hopes of an upset. Let's toss it to our sports anchor, John Marcus, for a look at more.
Thanks, Ryan and Sonica. Don't sleep on the women of Troy as they head to the NCAA tournament against Eastern Washington. And water polo looks for a win against crosstown rival UCLA this weekend. And just as Sonica said, the Trojans are underdogs against the undefeated Huskies this Saturday. We'll break it down coming up.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
French fries. Finding best potatoes.
No!
Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to ATVN. Wake up, it's game day. Well, almost. The Trojans will take on number 4 ranked Washington this weekend in a Pac-12 showdown. Husky Stadium is one of the loudest venues in the country, and the Pacific Northwest climate doesn't help much either. Coach Helton talked about what needed to be done in order to pull off the upset.
I want them to be as comfortable as humanly possible with everything that's going to be. So you had everything from having to work 15 minutes with nothing but a soaked ball today, just in case it pours rain. We're trying to get them comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Riding behind Heisman candidate Jake Browning, the Huskies have entered the conversation for the college football playoff this year as the 4 seed, making this the Trojans' toughest opponent of the year. There's predicted rain in the forecast this Saturday, and the conditions may play to the Huskies' favor as the Trojans have not fared well with precipitation. And the Chargers may not be in San Diego for much longer. Last night, the San Diego County voters rejected the proposed tax initiative to build a brand new stadium. Our reporter Sylvie Sparks has more. Sylvie?
Thanks, John. Yes, the 4 and 5 Chargers even lost off the field as owner Dean Spanos failed to get Measure C passed to create a tax hike in order to raise funds for a new stadium in San Diego. The measure did not pass 57% to 43%, leaving the Chargers with a minimal chance of staying in San Diego. Spanos downplayed the vote, stating no rush decisions would be made. The Chargers could stay in the second oldest stadium in the league or move into a brand new stadium with the Rams in LA. They can also search for other solutions in San Diego, but it's unclear where the Bolts would get funding for a new stadium. This election defeat does not automatically mean the Chargers will relocate out of San Diego, but they must decide on a move to Los Angeles by January 15th. The team will finish the season in San Diego as they face Miami at home on Sunday. Back to you, John.
Thanks, Sylvie. Moving over to the pitch, the women of Troy are NCAA tourney bound and will play Eastern Washington on Saturday. They have earned a number 2 seed in the pool of 64 teams thanks to the work of Pac-12 Goalkeeper of the Year Sammy Jo Prudhomme and Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year Mandy Freeman. Let's head over to the pool where the number 2 ranked Trojans are getting ready to close out the regular season with a crosstown rivalry match against UCLA. The one-loss Trojans are hopeful to finish off strong.
Yeah, I think we're preparing for UCLA like any other team. I think we just need to follow our game plan, and we're definitely going to go over all the defensive, offensive scenarios for that, and we're just going to take out their key players. There's definitely a little bit of a built fire because we lost them the last 2 years, and I think we're ready to take it home this time.
The Trojans will then move on to MPSF play next week, followed by the NCAA tournament, where they will be heavily favored. And basketball is back. The Trojans tip off for the first time this season at 8 p.m. Friday at the Galen Center versus the Montana Grizzlies, led by returner Benny Boatwright and Shemezi Metu. And don't miss the women of Troy, who also knock off their season this Friday at 5 p.m. versus Hawaii. Now, there's a lot of fun coming up. Yeah, you know, Washington going to be a great tailgate. A lot of people heading up.
It'll be a lot of fun. You know, you pile in the van with your friends. It's a couple of hours on the road up Interstate 5, and it's a great weekend. Yeah.
Thanks, John.
It was a crazy election night everywhere, including on social media.
And we'll bring you some of the hottest topics from Twitter next.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
Thank you, dear. Oh, you're very supple. Just like I was at your age. Back then, I was a sex expert. Used to call me the buttered biscuit. I know about birth control, too. So you can ask me anything, baby.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
Have you had sex in this car yet?
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Well, Twitter emerged last night as the go-to social media platform during the presidential election. By 10 p.m. in the East, 40 million tweets had already been sent, overtaking the 2012 number of 31 million. Many users tweeted their excitement about a Trump presidency, with one user calling it a, quote, victory for regular, hardworking Americans over the Hollywood, D.C., Wall Street, and academic elitists, end quote. Other users celebrated Trump taking on the establishment and praised members of his team, including campaign manager Kellyanne Conway. However, not everyone was happy with last night's results, and the hashtag #ThankObama in 4 words began trending on Twitter. Many users thanked the outgoing president for his message of hope and change, and others tweeted, "Please don't leave us, 4 more years, and we will miss you."
And we have some late-breaking news tonight. Our weather anchor, James McDaniels, finally had a blazer and a haircut. James, it looks great. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I know, now I feel like a part of the crew now, because it's like I was the only guy that didn't have a blazer. So even though it's only for 3 episodes, including this one, I cannot wait to see how the semester ends.
You look sharp, and that's what's important. Thanks so much, James. Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone here at Annenberg Media, I'm Ryan Thompson.
And I'm Sonica Bargo. As always, you can watch us on the web at uscannenbergmedia.com. Good night.
Todd's a great guy. I mean,